Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. I want to talk about what I think will be the best Legion champion going into the end of this year and going into next year as well. Obviously, because we are getting the Legion champion system soon, I see a lot of people creating their Legion champs right around now, or some people are trying to find a new Legion champion to make. And personally, I have been doing the same thing. I've been trying to figure out exactly what class I want to make as my next Legion champ. And over the past year, and especially over the last few months, I think that choice and that option has become more and more clear on what is becoming the best Legion champ in the game. And I think pretty much everyone knows already how strong this class is, but I think a lot of people underestimate how strong it is as a Legion champ. Now, the class I'm talking about is Lynn. Now I'm going to try to make the case to you why I think Lynn is the best Legion champ to make. Now obviously the class is a support class, but the class is no slouch when it comes to damage as well. And also this class is a non-GMS class, so the ball is kind of in Team GMS's court in terms of the balance of the class because it doesn't originate from KMS. But they've shown over the last few months that they just want to make this class very strong. And honestly, I don't throw around the word overpowered very often, but I think this class is definitely overtuned. But just as some speculation, I think that Team GMS wants to make this class strong because they want people to play it, and I don't think very many people played Beast Tamer, and they know the class has to fit into the meta if people want to continue to play the class long term. But I actually think Lynn is stronger as a Legion champ on your account than it would be as a main on your account, and let me tell you why. So the first reason is because this is a support class, you can typically get into public parties way faster and way sooner than other classes because Lynn has a skill called Awaken, which basically doubles your strongest party member's burst damage. And most people know Lynn can do this. So what happens is when a Lynn applies to a public party, you're much more likely to get accepted even if you are at a lower gear progression than the rest of the party. For instance, normally when people apply to something like Hard Lucid, in a 6-man party, most people are between 20 and 30 mil combat power. And as a Lynn, you can start blue dotting in a party like that at between 10 and 15 mil combat power. And what this allows you to do is you can start rolling things like arcane boxes and other gear faster. And this will allow you to gear up your Legion champion faster than other classes because you can start sooner. Now this typically doesn't really matter for things like Enlomian mules or below, because those types of baby boss mules don't typically need that strong of gear. Like an Enlomian boss mule doesn't need arcane gear to kill the bosses that they are killing, but a Legion champion does, because if you want to go for something like Hard Saren or the normal Kalos solo, you're going to want 21 star arcane gear, at least 21 stars if not 22, and that requires a lot of arcane boxes, and the sooner you start getting those boxes, the better. Also, Lynn provides a plus 10% drop rate bonus to all party members, so people are also incentivized to invite you sooner for that buff as well. And also the plus 10% drop rate is just nice when you're soloing bosses. Any extra drop rate helps, honestly. So because making a Legion champ and kind of starting over is kind of a daunting task, I think it's significantly less daunting when you know that you can go through the gear progression faster than the other classes. And it's just very motivating to know that when you apply to a party, you have a very high chance of getting in. And it's also very motivating just knowing that everyone wants you in their party. Now, the other reason why I think Lynn is the best Legion champ are just all the other reasons why you would want a strong support class on your account. And some of these reasons are more long-term reasons. And because making a Legion champ is already a long-term process, I think Lynn's goals and making a Legion champ's goals kind of align, and they align more than all the other classes in the game. So for instance, imagine a scenario where you've been running bosses on the Lynn for 3 or 4 months in a party, and then after those 3 or 4 months, you are starting to be able to solo C10 bosses and below. And after some amount of months of you soloing C10, you then finish the lib process. And after you lib, you obviously don't need the Traces of Darkness anymore. So what you can do is you can actually just trade carries with another person. And being on a Lynn makes the person that you are carrying much more capable because you have the Awaken buff. So it'll be easier for them to blue dot and do a lot of damage, and just generally carry them through the bosses faster. Also, this helps in terms of you helping other people with some of the stronger endgame bosses. And because you have a strong Lynn helping someone else, this will actually impact your main character as well, because then they can help you get through the bosses as well. So for instance, if you are progressing your main character right now, and you are under 300 mil CP, there's no way you'd be able to solo something like Extreme Lotus. But if you are getting close to soloing Extreme Lotus and you have a Lynn with you, suddenly you may be able to clear the boss now. And if you have a Lynn helping you solo the boss with the awaken buff, at the end when you get your loot, they also have a plus 10% drop rate buff that you can use as well, so you get a little bit better loot. Now there are other classes that offer support like Bishop, but I think the awaken buff is so strong at this point compared to something like Benediction that it just affects the game differently, and it just directly affects the gear progression in a more meaningful way than even Bishop. And it also affects your main character because you can trade with another person or just helping them solo bosses later in the game. And I don't think Lynn has to be your first Legion champ that you make, but because the way Lynn affects the rest of your account, personally I think that it should be a staple and everyone should have a Lynn in at least one of your Legion champ slots. It's really a no-brainer because of how strong Awaken is, and I think Lynn is going to remain a very strong class in the future. So it's kind of a future-proofed class as well. And typically non-KMS classes aren't that safe to play because the never-ending fear that it could get nerfed at any moment. But because of how the game and GMS has been changing over time, I think it's a pretty safe pick, especially because I think heroic endgame balance is kind of flawed right now, and I'm not really sure how they can power creep heroic to be more in line with KMS in terms of the boss health values that they are putting on the KMS bosses these days. And I think Lynn is kind of the band-aid fix for heroic's power creep issues right now, and I don't really see that changing in the near future, which is why I think making a Lynn as a Legion champ is a safe option at this point. But yeah, I think for newer players, making a Lynn as a Legion champ is probably the best option because they can go through the gear progression faster than the other classes and it will smooth out the experience for the newer players. And then for the late to end game players, I think it also benefits them because of the boss trading benefits and the fact that you can provide so much support on helping people solo the endgame bosses like Extreme Lotus and others. And I think both of these things are good traits for a Legion champ, because I think when you choose a Legion champ, you may as well choose one with extra benefits rather than a Legion champ with no extra benefits for your account. But yeah, I know many people already think that Lynn is one of the, if not the best class in the game right now, just in terms of how it affects the game because of how strong the Lynn support is. But I wanted to make this video on exactly why I think Lynn is even stronger as a Legion champ. And I recently hyper burned and item burned to this class, and I've seen so much chatter about how strong it is and how good the support is, but I don't think I truly understood until I started partying in bosses that were at C10 level. So I kind of wanted to share what I learned about all of that. And because I play the game at endgame and I'm level 290, I can definitely see how this class will affect the game as a Legion champ. So instead of potentially finding this info out by yourselves, I wanted to make this video to kind of fast track the information to you guys. But yeah guys, this class is broken. Go make this as a Legion champ if you haven't yet. Trust me, it's really, really good. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more MapleStory videos. I'm gonna have a bunch of videos coming out when the new update drops and when Night Troop drops. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Later guys. Peace.